back to the Spotlight series. I'm so excited to have you joining me today. Perhaps you want to introduce yourself.
Well, it's so lovely to be here this morning with you. I am Helga. I'm from Belgium and based in Leuven. And I think I got introduced to Louis Deep Democracy in 2014 already. And I'm an instructor for level 1, 2, 3, 4, and also other like a coaching for the I Know Me. I really had a deep dive into deep democracy, Louis Deep Democracy. Yes.
So, like you said, it's been over a decade. So, why did you want to pursue, like to learn about it? Like, what drew you to it, and what made you also want to teach it?
It was so interesting. I think in that period, I was doing a job that I really loved. I was program director for AFS International Intercultural Exchanges, and we got a new director, and then it's just went completely wrong. So I wanted to do something else, and I didn't understand what was going on. And I did a different study. It was intercultural management and international communication in Mechelen. And there I got introduced to Louis Deep Democracy. We got a first, and I'm like, this is what I needed. I needed to just find a way to talk differently, to have not just to have a discussion, but just to have awareness of also what the other is saying, but that I can also say what my problem is or what my no voice is. So that was like an opening. It was like, whoa, this is it. Why didn't they get it earlier? But unfortunately, at that point, my energy was very low in that company, and I decided to just quit my job and started actually with level 1. That started my journey.
So, what do you appreciate the most about Lewis Deep Democracy now that you've been with it for a decade? What do you use a lot of? What do you personally enjoy? Like for you as an individual, what does it give you?
In the first, how I got introduced, the first thing was how simple it is, I thought. And it looks like, well, everybody can use it. It's not rocket science or anything. It's a different way. I always say it's like learning a new language. We have all the words, you just have to put it in a different order. And to be aware that words are very powerful, and if you create a different order, you have a complete different process. And a process that is not, that brings people together instead of bringing people apart. So that was in the first sight attracting me to Louis Deep Democracy. But along my journey, I noticed that there's a lot more to it. It's not only about using the words, it's also about yourself. I got more awareness. I could feel when I feel awkward or something happens. What does this mean? What does this mean for me? Is this something I want to do something about it and I have a choice? So that was so interesting that it's not about the other, it's about myself. And that I learned along my way. It was not in the beginning. In the beginning, it was just, I loved the check in. That was already, wow. I had amazing things with it. Also, in not only in meetings, but also when you go with another trainer or with myself. That was already amazing to have that tool. And I got in meetings that I thought, oh no, where I got really afraid to go into that. I thought there's a big elephant in the room, and how is it going to pop up, or what? How do I going to deal with it? And just within the check-in, it already popped up. What meant like I don't have to bring it in; somebody else already brought it in, and it got an amazing meeting where we didn't have to be afraid to say what we needed to say. So that was already, and I cannot go meeting with somebody if I don't do a check-in at this moment. It feels like you don't have the complete story or you don't have respect what the other is thinking. That is so important for me. Why is the other person also in this meeting? I think it's so important to not just reflect on your idea, but also give the chance for the other what do they want to get out of this meeting. And sometimes people look very weird at me and say, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, I think it's good to just see how you sit in this meeting and how I sit in this meeting. And when I do it, it's amazing. When I don't do it, I feel something is missing and the meeting goes different ways that I didn't want to go. So that is the interesting thing.
So it sounds like it gives you more control. I mean, if that's what I'm listening to you very technically, and it sounds
Yeah.
like it gives you a bit more control about how to steer things.
It's not about completely about to steer things. I think it's to allow other thoughts in the meeting, not just to you have your meeting points, you go boom, 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 boom. No, to see what is really important that we really have to talk about, and it's not my control. It's actually we all of everybody who's in there has a chance to control it, has a chance to say something about it, and how to go further with it. And that's one aspect of Louis Deep democracy, but there's much, much more. Um, at least, well, the
Okay, so
other.
give me something else that you enjoy, or maybe tell me something else that you appreciate about it. And maybe it's another tool, maybe it's a thinking, or whatever it is, something that comes to mind.
Well, in the beginning, I was pretty afraid to do it differently than you used to because we are so in this pattern how to do things. So I tested out on my kids, and there was one tool I thought this is not too difficult. I can do that with my. I did it with my youngest son, and we did the golden arrows. And I was so amazed how he looked at me and I looked at him. We had a incredible conversation like that. And then the end of the conversation, he said, "You have to do this with dad as well."
What can you explain a little bit more about the golden arrows, just a little bit, so people can understand if they don't know it?
Yeah, it's a talk you do with two people. I did it with my son, and you give all the appreciation from one side. I started. I give all my appreciation to him, and then when I was finished, he gave all the appreciations to me. And when that was finished, I did another tour the same way. And after that, we said what hit home, what was something that was like that came into your heart, and you said, oh, or maybe some new information that was straight into your heart. So and then you share that moment, and then you say, what does it mean? What does it mean for our relationship? What does it mean for me? And that's a wonderful way to we don't do that enough, I think. Instead of we're going very quick into negative feelings or sayings to each other, or gossiping about somebody else, and we don't dare to say it straight in somebody's face. So it was interesting, especially also to do it with your kids. It was very interesting how they look to you and how I look to him. So yeah, it's changed something in our relationship in the sense of in a good way. It gave us more trust in each other, and also yeah, it was like I can still remember that moment that we did it. I was walking on clouds.
And the fact that he said you should do it with dad, what do you think that tells you about his experience of it? Whether, you know, what he thought of it?
Also for him, I think it was a completely different view how we looked at each other, and I he because we were parents who work very hard, and I think he sees that as well, that he saw that it could be a very nice gift for both of us to do this for each other, and we have done that. No, you have to know my husband is an engineer. It's not simple to do this with an engineer.
Does it work though? I'm curious. Like, is it challenging? Is it too challenging? Is it that there's some people it doesn't work for, and maybe that's okay? Or does
Yeah.
it kind of work a little bit for him? What happened when you tried
Yeah,
as a
in the beginning
husband?
it was very awkward for him. Also for me actually, because it is a different way how you talk to each other. But doing that also it amazes me you have a certain idea how people look at you and also in your relationship. The first step to say everything what you think good about somebody or appreciation of somebody, it takes courage. It takes, yeah, you have to find that voice, actually. It's not easy. And he was willing to come along in small steps. But doing that, I think it was very nice. I think it would, and also it would be good to do it this someday again as well. But even in our relationship, even if we are not doing it every day, or you don't have to do it every day, but if you not still, there is something changes in the way you have your dialogue with each other. I feel that. And
Lovely.
it doesn't always, we also have our quarrels, and it's not the only thing. It helps you to listen more to each other and to listen to the voices that we have and not go from assumptions. I think that is what how we grew more in our relationships, doing that golden errand together.
Beautiful. So tell me a little bit more about what you do on a day to day to day, like how you use Lewis Deep Democracy in your daily working life. Yeah.
Well, I give different trainings for groups. The groups can be in the care sector, or can also professionals in a high-end industry. It's very wide, actually. What for sure I always do is starting with a check-in. And then, well, of course, depending on what is it, is a process that you're doing, or is it really a training that you're doing? In the processes that I do, will what I really learned with Lewis Deep Democracy is following the group. Of course, you have a program, but it's so important to see what is necessary in that group in that moment. And I'm now doing a group process that's for people in a school. They are not teachers, but they are like an international team. They welcome international students into the school. And the interesting thing that it started out that they had conflict in their meetings, that they could not say everything. But now we ended up in, we don't have a place in our school. Our international team is not seen in the school, which is an amazing transition. And that's also thanks to Lewis Deep Democracy, just to slip in some tools to let people say what they really want to say. And that came out. It was all the problems that they had in the meeting was also because they didn't have, it was a pattern in their school that the system in the school didn't recognize their team into the school system. So it's so interesting. So we're working on that now. And it's not just give a training that you can dissolve actually the problems we have in a meeting. It's much more than that. It's like really going and see what is going on. What is how come that meetings are not going like you would like them to go, and then something completely else pops up. So that's how I use. I'm not saying exactly, well, I'm now using a method of Lewis Deep Democracy. It's just, I just bring it in. Or when I see that we have like two polarities, I use a debate. And debate is a little bit the same thing like you do the Let's Talk, also from two sides, but then more in going into the problem that they have, where the polarities are. And the debate is such amazing because it's not staying in a discussion, but you actually bring the topic up front and you discuss in a very regulated way about the topic and not about people. And that's also very good to be able to have a tool to do that. For example, I did a debate about, it is important to have one person to do the decision, so teams will grow well. The time is limited and you have a clear decision. So I did a debate on that. So I had, is it important that just one person, if you had a discussion, just one person will make the decision, or is it important to have all the voices in for the decision? So what we did was we took this topic. You had people saying, well, yes, I'm standing on the side that it's important to have one person in the team when it's not moving anymore to take the decision. And there were another voice that said, no, I think it's important that we keep on having all our voices in. So I asked the people to stand on one side where they felt the most energy. So I had a group standing on the voice, yes, we need one person take the decision, and we had a couple of people on the other side. At that point, I asked them to stay on the sides and to say to say everything from one side, like we discussed also, like the golden arrow, but now about this topic. When everything was said on this side, I asked them on the other side what is on that topic. Because this was an introduction, I did it a little bit different that I usually teach them or train them in my sessions. Here, I just wanted them to feel the energy that was on their both sides. I did one round like this. The second round, I asked them, now I'm going to ask you to do something a little bit difficult. I'm going to ask you to also come along on the other side. So I started again with when one person has the mandate to make the decision, and I asked people to go over the side. The interesting thing was there were people that say, "Oh yeah, I can say something on that side," and there were people who said, "I don't want to go on that side." And that was very interesting to have that feeling that people do have a difficulty to take the other voice. Then I asked them, please just feel it. Just go and feel where you can feel and how you can go along on the other side. So they did that. They came along, we did the same process, but I took everybody also move on the other side when everything was said. Then this is just one phase of the process. The second phase is, like I said, also with the golden arrows, is like what hit home to you? What was an aha feeling? What was something was maybe new information for you? Or was something is like, oh, I didn't know about that. So we did a round, so everybody had something. And then one person said, I don't really have something. I said, okay, but what happened to you? And she said, I could not go on the other side. It was very difficult. I didn't say anything. From the other side to go to the side where everybody kept to have a voice. I'm like, oh, interesting. And what does it say for you? And then what came was that she said, I like the time that it goes quicker. And then for me, it's also very important that I had said what I needed to say. And if I said everything what I needed to say, I can go ahead with somebody taking the decision. I'm like, whoa, this is so much information you have here. Otherwise, this information would never come across the room if we haven't done this exercise. Because this was it was not a teamwork, but I just asked at the end for everybody to take a decision by themselves instead of a group decision. But normally, if you do that in a team, I would ask for them to have a group decision on that and say, bring it back to the question. So, do we need one person to take the stand and to make the decision, or how are we going to do it in this team? But here I asked for just individually to make a decision. But what amazed me was that there's so much more information that comes up, information you would never have said to your teammates if you would just stay in the discussion and you ping pong with each other. And that was what they felt. It was so powerful. So I got a lot of questions. How did it work? Can we use that in our team? So it was just by just one demonstration. It was so powerful that people could see how much more information it gives if you do it in a different way.
Well, it's so lovely just hearing this example of you demonstrating it. If you think back to the last training that you've had, what is the response from people? What feedback do you get? And it doesn't really matter what level, doesn't really matter, but
No.
like what is like if you think back to a recent training you've had delivering Lewis Deep Democracy, what kind of response do you get?
The interesting thing is when you do this with a group, they're always amazed how much they say in the group. It's got a lot of responses like, yeah, but you do it and you have the special words for it and all that. And then I say, it's not true. Everybody can do it. It's only look into yourself. How willing are you to do this? How willing are you to stand in the group and not leading the group, but leading the process? which is completely different. Just make your mind empty, stand in there and see what is going to happen in the group. That's, for me, that's very important, to hold space so everybody can say their voices. And for some people, it's like they love it, but still there is a lot of obstacles to do it themselves. And if I look back to my process, I had the same feeling, because we are so used to having, how many years have we done discussions? How many years have we done our patterns that we have done? And it's not easy to change that in one way or another. So you have to find little steps how you can change that. And if I think of my last trainings, I had school principals in my trainings, and school principals, they have a lot of responsibility. And for them, they have also a certain idea how they have to be in the group, in their school group. And it was not easy for them to switch. How can they be vulnerable? Because for them, it feels like vulnerable if you open up yourself, if you also dare to speak up in the group what your feeling is. If you are not, and that's where you do also in a check-in, and they say, well, no, I cannot give my negative feelings. I'm like, you are allowed to give your negative feelings. But it took small steps to do that. And when they did it, they opened up and they say, now I can go into the group, and now I can actually start with a check-in and allow the group to say everything, and I can have a voice in there as well. But it takes courage. It takes also to be able, maybe it's neutral, but I think for me, it's to be able to really listen carefully what the others say without a judgment. That's for me being neutral. And that you have to be aware, when are you hooked on somebody and when you're not. You have to be aware what triggers in you. How can I leave that away and just hold the group and allow everybody to have a voice? And only that principle, just already that, it's not easy, but if you do it, it creates a lot of openness. And I think when I say it to groups, that's the first thing. Experience that. And you can do that very simple. If you're in a meeting that you're not doing yourself, feel, how does it trigger you? Where do you feel something in your body? And if you feel that, that is when you're not neutral, or that is where something hits home for you, or where you have an opinion, or when you want to blab something out. Those signs are important, how to deal with that. And if you can deal with that, then little by little you can hold a group. That's how I train. That's how I do it with the people when they say, yeah, you do it, but I cannot do it. Yes, you can, but take it step by step.
So, just trying to think, what do you think is a really important nugget, like something really precious that you appreciate and you want to share with others?
That's not an easy question. There are a lot of nuggets, I think. What I really appreciate is that I did some very difficult processes with people, with my mother in law, with my son, where they had a very difficult decision in life that I had to make. And I think what I appreciate so much, that I was able to let them have their decision, to be able to hold space for people, that they can have their decision where they feel good about, where they feel that, and it's not, I have ideas myself. I had ideas. I was how I would do it, but it's not about me. It's about them. And to have learned that and to hold that space, I think if we can do that more, would have a different world, I think.
To be able to hold space for the other and let them discover for themselves what really feels good for them.
Yes. And not only by doing that, you learn so much more about the other. It's about learning how others are standing in the world, how others think about the world, and not think that what you're thinking, everybody is thinking like that. Or if you want that everybody thinks like that, it's not, that doesn't solve our problems, I think.
It's interesting how you talked about helping your family, like your mother-in-law and your son. When last did you use it for yourself, on yourself? And maybe if you can, maybe you don't want to share, but maybe you can share a little bit about that.
I'm actually in a transition as myself. And what I feel, it's if you're a trainer, I'm an independent trainer, it feels very lonely. So what I'm looking for is like working in a team, working together, exchange ideas and all that. So what we're doing at the moment is we are setting up a cooperation, and we have been working together for a whole year already, and now it becomes very official. And all of a sudden I felt we came at a point that people said, yeah, I will sign because I know I can get out as well, which felt very uncomfortable. And what was going on, I'm like, what's happening here? And what does it with me? At that moment, it was not easy to just speak up in the group. It was a feeling I have to do first something for myself and to really know what do I want to get out of this. So what I did was looking, well, what does this team bring me? And what are my needs? What do I really want to have? So actually, it was also a debate with myself. And what came out of it was that I want to spread my wings. I would love I want to stay free, even though working with a group, I would like to stay free, want to be myself, not in too many rules. I mean, rules that we have to, adjust to each other. So it was a very nice awareness for myself. And also on the legal side, what brought me on the legal side, there was a question that I had the feeling this is not answered yet. What do I do with it? Am I going without the group knowing? Am I going to go for the answers by myself? Or do I first need to speak up to the group? So all this information together, it's maybe very chaotic, but all this information together brought me that no, I want to have this solved for myself. I will bring it to the group when I feel I'm ready for it. So I talk to people where I want to have the legally side of things. And something very amazing happened. The person who I talked to, he didn't find my phone number. He phoned to somebody else who from the group to get my phone number. The interesting thing was he could explain things to her. She was very dazzled, like, why did the question come from? Because she didn't know I was asking the questions. But it opened up the energy in the group. I was able to, so we had a meeting together. I said, well, this is what I did. I know it's underneath the waterline what I did, but I want to be as open as possible. But for me, it was very important to have this process. And I was very happy the person called to the other person to explain what happened. But it was just doing this process by myself. Things started to happen. What maybe maybe I was afraid that that would happen, that things would come out and become in the awareness of the group. But it was just also for the good of the group. So my process helped actually the group further as well.
So it sounds like to me that since you started learning over a decade ago, you now not only have made it part of what you do, but it's also very much part and parcel of your life and your personal life too. Is that right? Have I got it right?
Yeah, yeah. It's something I cannot get rid of it anymore.
What do you mean?
It's something for me. Louis Deep Democracy is not only just a method; it's also a way of life, a way of thinking, a way of different thinking, a way of listening, a way of, I don't know, a lot of things. And once you grew into it, it's something you cannot get rid of it. Even if you want to, it pops up in your mind. That's how I feel it.
And when it pops up, is it pops up in a negative way or a helpful way? Like when it pops
Well,
up
it
in your
depends
mind?
on the situation. It's not black or white. It's like sometimes it's interesting when you come in the discussion, you know you can do better. That's in a negative way. You know you can do better, and you're like, I know I have this tool of debate, but I don't feel like it right now. Just stop that voice. And if you allow the voice to come in to do it, you feel it's an amazing process. But once in a while, you just have the feeling, not now.
I can relate. Before I go, anything
Yeah.
else you want to say or share from your side?
I think it's just amazing that it came across with me, and I mean that I got to learn it. I'm still in the process of learning. You can never finish learning, but I'm so. It's so important that everybody has a choice to do Louis Deep Democracy or not. But that means everybody should know about it.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Bye.
Bye bye.